this it? Oh, this is it. Okay, I got it. In conversation with Elon Musk.
Hello, everyone. And Elon Musk, welcome to Qatar Economic Forum. How are you?
Thank you for having me.
I'll pause. In the interest of goodwill, I like that jacket. I don't like the incredibly patchy beard. I feel like you stopped shaving like right here and right here. I also do think that Elon Musk and I have the same haircut, which is kind of cool because I didn't pay for mine yet. I haven't paid for the plugs, bro.
Let's start then with exactly the fact that you now have this combination of being a CEO and having a role as a government advisor. Tell me about your week. How does it work? What's the split of your time?
If he doesn't mention that he tweets 40 times a day, if he tries to act like all of that is work, I'm gonna crack. Also, what about how did you get to the top of Diablo ladder? Okay, how did you get to top PoE ladder?
I was in Silicon Valley yesterday morning. I was in LA yesterday evening. I'm in Austin right now.
You were in LA yesterday evening and you didn't stop by? You didn't come on the lemonade stand?
If we start with Tesla, the company has suffered in recent months what you've called blowback. What is your plan for turning that around, the declining sales picture? And by what stage do you think you're going to be able to turn it around?
Oh, it's already turned around.
Oh, good.
Give me some evidence.
Oh, I didn't know it was solved. Easy. Clap. Wait, my goat? Okay. Yay. I would say the stock is back. I would say that, as per usual, has gotten divorced from the fundamentals yet again. I mean, the sales numbers are still down.
I've just been looking at the sales figures for Europe in April, which show very significant declines in the big markets.
That's what I was getting at, Elon. April's not that long ago, and all the sales are down. So, like, can you tell me how it's fixed?
Europe is our weakest market. We're strong everywhere else. So, no, our sales.
Bro, I'm quite sure the sales are down in China, too. Maybe in America. I don't have any recent data, but I'm quite sure they're down in China, and I'm quite sure they're down in Canada. So,
Yeah, obviously the stock market recognizes that since we're now back over $1 trillion in market cap. So,
bro, it's so fucked up to whenever the stock is down, be like, it's fucking fake, doesn't mean anything. And when it's up, being like, well, that's proof. It's proof. It's a good job. No, dude. Listen, the people buying this stock market dip are like 100% retail. And I'm not exaggerating. What I'm telling you is that retail buyers have never bought the dip harder. It's never been a higher percentage of retail. So like, maybe it'll be okay. I'm not going to predict the future of any stock market, but I want you to know that like the risk level is rising and rising as the smart money or the Wall Street money flees. They're slowly pulling out, or overseas investors are pulling out. And the only people left are retail investors. They're holding the bag. By the end of this, it's going to be a surge with only retail holding the bag. And then if it falls from there, it's cooked. Maybe it goes up forever. Maybe it's fine. I'm just saying the market is heavily propped up by retails who've been trained to buy the dip.
But sales still down compared to this time last year.
in Europe.
In Europe, okay. And
Yes, but that's true of all manufacturers.
No,
There's no exceptions.
there is exception.
does that mean
No, for EV sales, for example, are up in Norway and Denmark, but Tesla sales are down, which means they're buying more EVs, but they're not buying Teslas. In China, EV sales are way up, but they're not buying Teslas. I can't speak to every single country off the top of my head, but that's not a true statement, what he just says. It's not a true statement.
you would acknowledge, wouldn't you, that what you are facing, okay, let's just take it as Europe, what you are facing is a significant problem. This Tesla was an incredibly aspirational brand. People identified with it. They saw it as being at the forefront of the climate crisis, and now people are driving around with stickers in their cars saying, I bought this before we knew Elon was crazy.
And there are also people who are buying it because Elon's crazy, or however they may view it. So yes, we've lost some sales perhaps on the left, but we've gained them on the right. The sales numbers at this point are strong. And
All right, well, I did a whole video on this. I'm not going to reiterate, but that's bullshit, bro. Come on. You know people in Alabama aren't picking up a Tesla, bro. People on the right generally love gas cars. They're more likely to love it. They're just more likely to love their truck. And Cybertruck sales are terrible. So I would just say this is not a realistic answer to the question. I think if he was more directly honest and said like, yeah, look, my involvement in politics was for a great cause, and I knew it would cause some blowback, but it was worth it for America. I don't believe any of this, but like, he could say this. But as I unwind this movement, as I have mission accomplished here at Doge, I think people are going to recognize how great Tesla's product is, and a lot of this political stuff will blow over. That's like a PR answer that could at least not be a lie. You know, you could be, it's like that's what you could say. It's not true, but you could say it and it's like open-ended. But to openly tell me like, no, every sale we lost in a left-leaning city, we've gained in a right-leaning one, it's just not true. Like, everybody knows that.
I mean, you can just look at the stock price. If you want the best inside information, the stock market analysts have that. And
okay, please save this clip for when the stock goes down. Like, it's so easy to say this when you're on an upswing, and then if it goes down, I want you to remember that, like, okay, the stock market is the perfect source of truth.
Do you see yourself, and are you committed to still being the chief executive of Tesla in 5 years' time?
Yes.
No doubt about that at all.
Well, no, I might die.
Oh, morbid.
Does that mean that the value of your pay doesn't have any bearing on your decision?
Oh.
Well, that's not really
That's a funny question. So she asked him first, are you going to be here in 5 years? He said, yes, for sure, unless I die. Then she caught him with the follow-up question, because he's in a big struggle over pay right now. He's asking for a lot more money from Tesla. And it's like, okay, so if they don't pay you, are you going to leave? It's a good follow. It's a good question. It's kind of a little bit of a 1-2 trap there. Yeah, I mean, a lot is underselling it. He's asking for more money than any CEO has ever been paid ever in any company of all time. He's asking for more money than Tesla has made in profit in the history of the company in a 1-year pay package. Just to be clear, it's like 50-something billion dollars.
I think obviously there should be compensation for, if something incredible is done, that compensation should match that something incredible was done. But I'm confident that whatever some activist posing as a judge in Delaware happens to do will not affect the future compensation.
This is the judge who twice struck down the $56 billion pay package that was...
Not a judge. The activist who is cosplaying a judge in a Halloween costume.
Okay, that's your characterization. I think on the current value...
Bro, he's so pleased with that. I mean, she is a judge. Dude, look how happy he is, though. I'm almost happy for him. I mean, that joke killed in his mind. As someone who laughs at my own jokes, I love it. Well, let's go, Elon.
On the current value of stock options, I think the value of that pay package stands at about $100 billion. Are you saying you are relaxed about...
Jesus Christ, it's $100 billion now? How can you possibly ask for that as a CEO when the company is doing so poorly? $100 billion? You want a full McDonald's. You would like the entire market cap of McDonald's as your CEO pay. The company has not made $100 billion in profit ever, combined, all years combined.
A sufficient voting control such that I cannot be ousted by activist investors is what matters to me. And I've said this publicly many times. But let's not have this whole thing be a discussion of my alleged pay. It's not a money thing. It's a reasonable control thing over the future of the...
Dude, it's so crazy to ask for $100 billion pay package and say it's not a money thing. There are states that don't have that much money. 100 billion? I would take 98 billion. It's like, I don't do it for the money. It's not, I just want voting control over this $1 trillion company.
One question before we move on to other companies, which is that I wonder if some of what has happened to Tesla in the last few months, did you take it personally?
Yes.
And did it make you regret any of...
Bro has so much riz, dude. That's the thing, is you just got so much riz.
And I'm not someone who's ever committed violence. And yet massive violence was committed against my companies. Massive violence was threatened against me. Who are these people? Why would they do that? How wrong can they be? They're on the wrong side of history. And that's an evil thing to do. To go and damage some poor innocent person's car, to threaten to kill me.
Can you put the SpongeBob sad emote? The richest person on earth, deeply enmeshed in our government, going up here and giving a sob story about how sad his life is, how he's so underappreciated, saying he got the job done, I did what needed to be done. What'd you fucking do? The deficit's not cut. The deficit is blown out. It's bigger. Bro, if you cut the deficit, I would be up here fighting with my chat being like, listen, bro, I don't like him, but yeah, but you didn't do it. You didn't do shit. And now you're acting so sob story about it? Oh my God, dude.
Well, it's certainly fine to object to political things, but it's not fine to resort to violence and hanging someone in effigy and death threats. That is in no way justifiable at all, in any way, shape, or form. And some of the legacy media nonetheless have sought to justify it, which is unconscionable. Shame on them.
It just feels so horseshit to me. A different person can make that argument and I would believe them and agree with them. Because I do think that like burning down a Tesla dealership is not a good thing to do. I said that in my fucking presentation. But like if this person saw a Joe Biden effigy, Elon would retweet that shit and go, Lamau, 3 laughing faces. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels so fake. It feels, it's this weird like ask for respectability. It doesn't feel authentic at all from Elon. I would appreciate it more if he was just honest. It feels it feels cry bully. Yeah. Bro, your VP bid with Gavin is so obvious. Oh yeah, you caught me? Fuck, caught. Yes, it's going to be the Glizmeister and Gavin 2028, dude. I'm gonna bring the elderly vote.
Do you see SpaceX moving into weaponized drones?
Oh, big question.
You certainly ask interesting questions that are impossible to answer.
It's impossible to answer? She asked you directly if SpaceX is going to make weaponized drones, and you rolled your eyes, laughed, and said it's an impossible question. Feels like a easy... Nope, we're not doing that. We're doing Starlink internet. What I don't get is if I'm in Elon's position, why doesn't he just do what he's done before and lie? Or Google, when they say, don't be evil, then quietly get rid of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't I just be like, no, we're not making weaponized drones, and then later be like, change my mind. Why I gotta be consistent? That's crazy.
Does that mean you are pushing ahead with the lawsuit against OpenAI?
Yes. Look, I came up with the name OpenAI as an open source and as a nonprofit, and I funded OpenAI for the first roughly $50 million, and it was intended to be a nonprofit open source company, and now they're trying to change that for their own financial benefit into a for-profit company that is closed source. So this would be like, let's say you funded a nonprofit to help preserve the Amazon rainforest. But instead of doing that, they became a lumber company, chopped down the forest, and sold the wood.
This is a great metaphor, except I actually know what happened here because I made a video on this too. Elon Musk also wanted it to become a for-profit company with him at the head. That was one of the reasons he was initially kicked out. He did help fund it as a nonprofit, but then as it was growing, he wanted to change the company so that he would be have total control. And that was the reason they had a difference of opinion and split off. Now, I do think OpenAI is not a company I have a lot of love for. They have a weird governance. They do have a problem with a weird corporate structure that's like fake nonprofit. I agree. But I don't think Elon Musk was some big advocate of that. I think he just wanted more control over it.
You're clearly now in a zone where you're more on the cutting regulation side than wanting new regulators. So has your view changed on the need for an AI regulator?
Well, it's not that I don't think there should be regulators. You can think of regulators like referees on the field in sports. There should be some number of referees, but that you shouldn't have so many referees that you can't kick the ball without hitting one. In many, and this is a natural consequence of an extended period of prosperity. It's very important to appreciate this. This has happened throughout history. There's no.
He's waffling again. I agree with this in principle and in spirit for things like housing. I think what he's saying applies to things like housing or NIMBYism or things that are stopping building of high-speed rail. But the question again was on AI, which currently has no regulation. But it's not like we have a problem of too many referees. There's no regulation. It's just a weird stock answer to give that doesn't apply to the question being asked, which is like, hey, where do you stand currently? Because you've said different things at different times on AI regulation. Should it be, I mean, again, we have a problem with new technologies, things like Uber, etc., where we're too late. You know, there's many things where we regulated too much and it slowed everything down. And then there's new technologies where we don't regulate it until it's way too late. And they've already like destroyed industries or undercut prices or, caused a lot of problems. So I feel like AI is one, especially with what it's doing to schools and everything, where you'd want to have an eye to thinking proactively instead of waiting too long. Like, here's an example. Imagine if you had an AI chatbot that reached 100+ million people. Let's call it Grok. And let's say you personally hard-coded it for a 4 or 5 day period to only talk about white genocide in South Africa, regardless of the question. Would it be okay for there at least to be a fine for that? Would there be some sort of like forcing function that allows a company to not just push whatever agenda they want through a mass market chatbot? Is there any possible discouragement that you could have from the government to make sure someone doesn't just abuse the widespread control of an AI agent?
Any action that is as a function of Doge is posted to the Doge website and to the Doge.gov or at Doge handle on the X platform. So it's complete transparency, and I have not seen any case where, to the best of my knowledge,
yet again, not complete transparency, because on that website, so many of the supposed savings, when you click into them, don't have any details attached, or they don't have the contracts attached, or the contracts say a different number than what you're claiming. And so it all adds up to a different number than your top line claim, and it doesn't feel very transparent. It feels performative yet again. So, and that's not just me saying, there's like many news organizations, NYT, FT, Bloomberg, they've all done this deep dive to try and track down whether the savings you're saying are actually happening, and they're finding a much smaller number.
Bloomberg broke news today that the South African government is working around the rules on black ownership in order to allow Starlink in, and that is being done on the eve of the visit that President Ramaphosa is going to make to the White House. Do you recognize that as a conflict of interest?
No, of course not. First of all, you should be questioning why are there racist laws in South Africa? That's the first problem. That's what you should be attacking. It's improper for there to be racist laws in South Africa.
Grok.
The whole idea with what Nelson Mandela, who was a great man, proposed was that all races should be on an equal footing in South Africa. That's the right thing to do, not to replace one set of racist laws with another set of racist laws, which is utterly wrong and improper.
I heard this from Grok.
That's the deal. Whereas there are now 140 laws in South Africa that give that basically give strong preference to if you're a black South African and not otherwise. And so now I'm in this absurd situation where I was born in South Africa but cannot get a license to operate in Starlink because I'm not black.
Well, it looks like that's about looks like that's about to change.
I just asked you a question. Please answer. Does that seem right to you?
Well, those rules were designed to bring about an era of more economic equality in South Africa, and it looks like the government has found a way around those rules for you.
I asked you a question.
This is.
He's such a kid, bro. I can't believe this is the richest man in the fucking world. It's crazy. Extra annoying about this to me is like, if this were a different country in Africa who had, listen, I don't know what's going on in South Africa. I really don't. I assume he's exaggerating, but even if he isn't, if it was any other country in like a reverse situation, his normal response would be, this is not America, who gives a shit? It's not our problem. That's what the general stance has been about most of it. If it's not America, why the fuck are we caring? But because he has personal business interests in South Africa, because he's from there, he's made it like a big discussion point for the US government to get involved in South Africa's laws about their business policy. It doesn't make any sense. It has nothing to do. So it's just very hypocritical. It feels like totally not relevant to the majority of Americans, but he's making it seem like it's a big story to them.
This is your interview. Everyone wants to hear from you.
Ask your question. Yes or no?
Not for me.
Laws, yes or no?
Not for me to answer. I have got a question for you about your government work there and the amount of savings.
Why do you like racist laws?
This is not for me to answer. Come on.
Yes, it is.
Now, you wouldn't be trying to dodge a question.
You have to ask a question. I answer my question. No, you answer mine.
I think I'm sure you can have that conversation directly with the South African government if you want to. I want to ask you about the total.
I can't believe it. That's not good.
I want to ask you about the total
Why
amount.
do you like racist laws?
I want to ask you about the total amount that you're planning to save through Doge's work. Before the election, you said it was going to be at least $2 trillion.
Oh, shit.
The number currently on Doge.gov is $170 billion. That's a big change. What happened to the $2 trillion?
What do you expect it to happen immediately?
Well, is it going to happen? Because Doge is supposed to run till next July.
I mean, your question is absurd in its fundamental premise. Are you assuming that on day, within a few months, there's an instant $2 trillion saved?
No, I'm not at all. I'm just asking, is that still your aim then? Is it still your aim to get to $2 trillion?
Have we not made good progress given the amount of time?
No.
That's exactly what I'm asking. So is it still your aim to go from 170 billion to 2 trillion?
The ability of Doge to operate is a function of whether the government, and this includes the Congress, is willing to take our advice. We're not the dictators of the government; we are the advisors, and so we can advise. And the progress we've made thus far, I think, is incredible. The Doge team has done incredible work, but the magnitude of the savings is proportionate to the support we get from Congress and from the executive branch of the government in general.
So it's Trump's fault.
The 4 billion a day, if Doge is going to run till next July, is not going to get you to $2 trillion. But you still say it's your aim, so we'll take that as read.
There's what Doge. I mean, I feel you're somewhat trapped in the NPC dialogue tree of a traditional journalist. So it's difficult when
call her an NPC?
Conversing with someone who's trapped in the dialogue tree of a conventional journalist, because it's like talking to a.
Bro's going full gamer. Yeah, I'm trapped in an NPC dialogue tree. She just asked you a question, bro, about the thing you're doing with our government. She just asked you a reasonable question with Matt. At $4 billion a day, you will get to $2 trillion. You said $2 trillion. Why not? Why are we not there?
Doge is an advisory group. We are doing the best we can as an advisory group. The progress made thus far as an advisory group is excellent. I don't think any advisory group has done better in the history of advisory groups of the government. In that context, we are doing very well. Beyond that, we cannot we cannot take action beyond that because we are not.
Okay, well, I think her question is about this weird about face, because in the lead up to Doge, you're up on stage talking about how we're going to easily cut $1 trillion, maybe $2 trillion. Then it was confidently $2 trillion and all this. And now it's like, well, it's not our fault. We're just advisors. This was the criticism you were receiving when Doge was first announced, and you said it wouldn't be a problem. I just think Doge has been a colossal failure, and I feel like it's not fair to cop out and say, we're just advisors. The only things you advised on were inconsequential to the national debt and deeply consequential to the few programs you defunded. I mean, I'll give you a real world example. Ari's a much better person than me, and Ari every week volunteers to teach kids how to read. I have not told anybody this, but Ari goes to schools and teaches kids how to read. And that program, recently, she showed up and they said she couldn't do it because it got defunded. Now, when she shows up, they don't have funding and they can't just leave an adult with the kid, even though she's doing it for free. So the kid she was seeing regularly, she can't see that girl anymore and teach her. It's just crazy. It's like, and did that save the government any money? No, no. It was this weird random cut by Doge that again has done jack shit. Like, the deficit is so much bigger, and once this big, beautiful bill gets passed, it's going to be massively bigger. So it all just feels like stupid cloud cover for tax cuts. They cut funding for a free thing. I asked the same question. I was as dumbfounded as you are, but apparently they need some staff there to supervise. Otherwise, anyone could be like, I want to teach kids how to read, and then walk into a school, and it's like not. So you have to have staff to supervise, and the staff no longer exist. And so no, the volunteers get sent home. So it's just super cringe.
The comments that Bill Gates made the other day, which, and I know that you called him.
Yeah, he's a huge liar.
Huge liar.
I know,
okay.
you've said that already. I wondered.
Also,
and I'm just.
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given that he frequented Jeffrey Epstein?
Listen, I'm not going to defend Bill Gates. I'm sure he got divorced from Melinda. Maybe he wasn't those flights. But the flight logs also have Donald Trump, bro, and you're pals with him. So it again feels kind of hypocritical.
You spent a lot more money on the last US election than you envisaged when you were speaking here 3 years ago. Are you going to continue to spend at that kind of level on future elections?
I think in terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
And why is that?
I think I've done enough.
Is it because of blowback?
Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason.
Oh, well, that was the big headline I saw. I mean, to be honest, I didn't say much. That's because, 2024, 6 months before the election, he said, I'm not going to donate money to either candidate for president. 6 months before the election. And then, of course, he turned out to donate $300 million to Trump. So there's no holding him to this. But I will say that there's a reasonable argument to be made that he'll never admit it here, but that he is trying to ease back from Doge, ease back from political spending because it is damaging his company so severely. I don't trust him when he says that Tesla is back on track, all good. I don't think the numbers bear that out. I think there's been a nice retail dip buying for the stock, but in general, the longer term trend is negative as the sales continue to decline. So I think he's going to try and fix that before he jumps back into crazy spending. Additionally, he did a ton of spending for the Supreme Court thing in Wisconsin and lost that race pretty handily. So there's also an argument to be made that him spending actually hurts the team he's for.
Elon Musk, thank you very much for joining us here at Qatar Economic Forum. Thank you.
Wow! Thank you, Elon. Appreciate that dialogue. Honestly, interesting. But man, I can't help but feel like some of the walls are closing in there.